Hi, thanks for joining me today for our devotion. My name is Annie, and we're going to go over the book of Jeremiah 31, verse 1 to 9. There are a lot of really exciting things to unpack here, so I hope you're ready. Let's start by reading the verses. At that time declares the Lord, I will be the God of all the clans of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus says the Lord, the people who survived the sword found grace in the wilderness. When Israel sought for rest, the Lord appeared to him from far away. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, I have continued my faithfulness to you. Again, I will build you, and you shall be built, O Virgin Israel. Again, you shall adorn yourself with tambourines, and shall go forth in the dance of the merrymakers. Again you shall plant vineyards on the mountains of Samaria. The planters shall plant, and shall enjoy the fruit. For there shall be a day when watchmen will call in the hill country of Ephraim, Arise, and let us go up to Zion, to the Lord our God. For thus says the Lord, Sing aloud with gladness for Jacob, and raise shouts for the chief of the nations. Proclaim, give praise, and say, O Lord, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the farthest parts of the earth. Among them the blind and the lame, the pregnant woman and she who is in labor, together. A great company they shall return here. With weeping they shall come, and with pleas for mercy I will lead them back. I will make them walk by brooks of water and a straight path in which they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. So I'm gonna kind of just quickly go over the history of this passage. It goes back to when God's people rebelled, turned their hearts away from God. So God decided that he would disinherit them and scatter them throughout the world. So what happened to these people was that they suffered greatly under other kingdoms' reign. So in Jeremiah 31, God is declaring a new covenant with his people. So what does this mean? This means this is a new hope. He's promising his people that all the suffering will soon go away when he ushers in a new kingdom, taking them back to the land of the promise. So why is God doing all of this for people who turn away from him? First of all, good news is because of God's grace. In verse 2, we can see that God showed up for his people in the past, and because of his everlasting love, he's going to continue to be faithful to his people. And secondly, for the sake of his holy name. He made a promise with his name, and he's not going to deliver empty promises. So in verse 7 and 9, we can see that Jacob and Ephraim's names were mentioned. The significance of these names goes back to Genesis, where God's first covenant he made with Abraham. So he was like, hey, Abraham, I'm going to make you the father of multitude of nations. And we see that this promise is being passed down to Jacob and then to Ephraim. But the catch was that the people, Abraham's descendants had to be loyal to him. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. People rebelled, and so the covenant was broken. So God decided that he's going to make a new covenant with his people again. So how is he going to bring his people back? And how is he going to carry out this new covenant? Because the new covenant in Jeremiah 31 still requires his people to be obedient and to love him. But of course, God is not going to force people to love him, because you just don't do that. That's not genuine. But God had a plan. He had a really big plan, and whoever chooses to believe is going to have a renewal of the heart and to love God willingly. So now going back to the names mentioned, Jacob and Ephraim, what's interesting about these names mentioned and their significance is that down the genealogy line, Jesus is born. So Jesus is the way to fulfill this new covenant, and he's gonna do it by sacrificing his own life to rid of all sins, to atone for sins, and once and for all. So this covenant is never going to be broken. So whoever chooses to believe is going to have a renewal of the heart and to be part of this new covenant. And this covenant will never be broken, and they will have a new renewal of the heart to love God. So what's the result of all this? God's going to prosper his people in his new kingdom. Therefore, just like the verses said, sing aloud with gladness, raise shouts, give praise, and enjoy the blessings, because this is a new hope. And he's not going to leave anyone behind, like in verse 8 mentioned, even people who can't physically move far, like the blind, the lame, pregnant women, women in labor. He's not looking for perfect people, and he's not looking for warriors to join him. He's looking for people who love him. Now you can be sure to trust him and have confidence in him, because in these verses, he didn't say it like, oh, I could probably bring you back. I can maybe be your God. I might be able to build you. No, he declares. He said he will bring them back and he's going to build them up. So he's confident in what he said. Not only that, he backs up his words with evidence. And since God is omnipotent, so why should his people lose hope? God's promise is unchanging, while everything else in the world is constantly changing. But God's promise continued from the beginning of the world, from Abraham to Jesus, and now to us. So I don't know where you are in this season of life, and I don't know individual events that will happen to you. There are a lot of disappointments in the world and filled with uncertainties, but I just want to assure you that you can always trust God as a follower of Christ. Because in the end, we know that there's going to be abundance. There's going to be joy when the world fades away and God ushers his new kingdom. So I just want to say, choose to be confident in him, choose to stick it out with him, and because his promises never fail. Thank you for staying till the end, and I'm really happy that you're here today. I hope you enjoyed our little devotion. May God bless you. Until next time, bye.